Is Iran more or less likely to build a bomb right now? Do they feel a threat from Trump? And there's a stockpile of highly enriched uranium could fit into 10 car trunks, and American officials admit they don't know where it is. How feasible would it be for them to build one if they decided to do it?
That's the main point. Will it make the political decision to go ahead? It had not done that in the run-up to this round of the 12-day war, as Trump calls it. That's what's so pivotal. Will they continue to have some kind of nuclear program? First of all, they believe they have a right to peaceful nuclear energy. Iran needs it. It has blackouts. Rolling blackouts because of, its infrastructure is so degraded, its oil facilities are so degraded. And every country wants a basket of different energy sources. So Iran is likely to continue some kind of nuclear program, whether overt or overt or covert. No, but also as maximum pressure. The 3%, 3.67% is all, what the former deal allowed, which is what would be used for a peaceful nuclear program. Whether Iran thinks that it only has leverage because it doesn't own its airspace anymore, it doesn't have an air force, it's weakened, if not debilitated. And so I think it's quite possible, especially since they moved some of their stuff. But again, is this leverage so that it has some kind of stand at any kind of nuclear negotiations with the United States? Or is this because it wants to advance a nuclear capability because it feels ever more vulnerable now? And we don't know the answer to that question yet. But I just say one thing, that we also need to look at this round of hostilities in the political context. There is no end to this war militarily. It can only succeed, or the United States and Israel can only succeed if there is some kind of diplomatic off-ramp that makes everybody feel as if the Iranians are not going to build a bomb, that there are some kind of guarantees, there's some kind of verification by the UN watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, to go in and be able to count every centrifuge and to monitor the stockpile of enriched uranium and to have access countrywide to any suspected sites. So the political outcome of this, at a time the regime has an aging and ailing supreme leader, that people are not going to be happy. They haven't been happy for a long time. And so there are some, does the regime have to negotiate a new social contract with its people?
So from your perspective, they still have not made that political decision, and it's a very difficult one to make.
Correct.
I think there's just, as Robin indicated, there's so many internal Iranian political variables. There always has been, but many more right now, including the health of the supreme leader, succession plans. There are obviously, factions within the system saying we needed a bomb 5 years ago, right? There are others who look at it more realistically, the types of people that, have more contacts with the outside world than the more insular looking members of the system, who look around and say, okay, Israel has a large undeclared nuclear arsenal. The United States has a massive nuclear arsenal. If we get 1 or 2 or 5 bombs, that's going to set off a nuclear arms race right in our neighborhood, right? Saudi Arabia is going to want one. Maybe the UAE is going to want one. Turkey's definitely going to want one. And so I think of Iran getting a bomb, a single bomb, deciding to weaponize, coming out, whether they do that publicly or our intelligence tells us that that's happening, that's more of an existential threat for the Islamic Republic than it is for Israel.
Can I play devil's advocate on that for a moment? And I hear your point, right? One bomb, and there would certainly be an arms race, and then the question becomes, is it just one bomb, right? But it doesn't take a crazy person to look at the world today and over the last several years and say, what's the difference between the countries that got invaded and didn't get invaded, right? Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons and got invaded. North Korea has nuclear weapons and has not been struck. Iran wasn't there, and it's just been embarrassed militarily, right? It's been struck repeatedly. And it's not just the rogue states who think in those terms, right? You have a whole host of countries around the world who are reevaluating their relationship with nuclear weapons and considering going nuclear, literally, because of the changing landscape. And that includes our allies, right? South Korea, there's a public discussion of gaining nuclear weapons because they don't trust the U.S. nuclear umbrella and defense agreement. There's discussion in Japan. You have the German chancellor discussing sharing France's nuclear deterrent because he doesn't trust America's nuclear umbrella. Sometimes whenever I cover this and people will say, oh, crazy Kim Jong-un, right? He wants nuclear weapons, or the crazy mullahs in Iran. There's a reasonable, rational case that you could see that. And God knows I'm not rooting for it. I'm just saying there's a reasonable, rational case. It's not crazy talk, sadly.
That's a very good point.